Hi everyone, I'm Sandy and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would bring to you what my November reading plans are, and I'm very excited for a couple of events that are occurring in November, which are Nonfiction November and New Worlds November. I haven't been part of BookTube long enough to read for either of these events, and I haven't been part of BookTube long enough to have been able to participate in these events in the past. So I'm very excited about both of these and can't wait to really get started. So what I thought I would do is start with those two events and then go through my 1001 book countdown books and then talk about the couple of carryovers that I had from October and a couple of upcoming buddy reads as well. So I am going to start with Nonfiction November. So for Nonfiction November, it's being hosted by Olive over at A Book Olive. I wasn't actually familiar with Olive's channel until Nonfiction November, so I'm very happy to have found her. But what she has done is come up with 4 very nice, easy worded prompts for us. So if you read a lot of nonfiction, you can select a book for every prompt. If you don't read a lot of nonfiction, you can just read a nonfiction book. But the 4 words that she gave us this year is collection, style, treatment, and industry. And so I have shopped my own bookshelves and come up with an option for all 4 prompts. I do read some nonfiction, but I'm branching more and more into it lately, so I would love to be able to read more nonfiction in November. But I'm going to start with style, because style, I have a book that I am buddy reading with Britta Bowler this month, which is Nomadland by Jessica Bruder. And so Nomadland is about a woman who basically, I believe it's a woman, or the lifestyle of living like a nomad with no real home. And so lifestyle, style. I have wanted to read this for quite some time because I wanted to watch the movie, and I'm very excited that I get to do a buddy read with Britta Bowler. So yeah, Nomadland, that one was for style. So for the collection prompt, this one's a little bit different because I have seen in some cases that this was considered fiction, some cases it's considered nonfiction. It's on Time's top 100 nonfiction books. So I don't know if it is nonfiction or if it's autofiction or if it's truly fiction. The author even says you could consider it fiction, but that book, and it's for collection because it looks like it's a collection of stories, which is A Movable Feast by Ernest Hemingway. And it's about 1920s Paris. Yeah, a memoir of 1920s Paris, which Paris is my favorite city in the entire world, and I'm so excited to get to read this. This is also a favorite book of Hannah's over at Hannah's Books, and so I am super excited. I've had this on my shelf, no joke. I'm gonna say, let me go look in here. Not 1950. This version of this book was copyrighted in 1992, and I don't know how long I've had it, but it's probably a good 15 to 20 years. So A Movable Feast, that will be for collection. And then the next two are on the definite pile of possibilities. As much as I would love to be able to say I'm going to be able to read both of these, it's unlikely. So that is a difference kind of than how I think my last TBR, or my last reading plans, because I don't like calling it a TBR, went, because I have more options this month and less less committed reads this month. So I'm very excited about this month because I have just so much flexibility. But for treatment, I went with Everybody, A Book About Freedom by Olivia Lang. And this book is all about the body and treatment of the body. And so I thought it fit the prompt really, really well. This was a recommendation I had from Britta Bowler, and I've wanted to read it since I bought it. And it is not too horribly big, so there's every possibility that I could actually get to this one in November. But this is the one that I selected for treatment. Okay. So the last prompt, which is industry, is a chunker of a book, and it's the one I have the most consternation, I think is a good word, about being able to get to it. I have read other books kind of about this topic, but the book is The Code Breaker by Walter Isaacson, and it is about gene editing, which is why I thought it would fit well for industry, that whole industry. I have read The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. I've also read a book like The Emperor of All Maladies, which is about cancer, and really enjoyed both of those books. And Heidi at My Reading Life and Britta Bowler, who I got the recommendation from, both think very highly of this book. And so I am so excited to try and be able to read it. But as I said, it's a big one. So it is definitely a possibility and not a for sure read. Okay, so for New Worlds November, I saw this on the Bookish Bryants, and I will link their video and a Book Olive's video in the description below for Nonfiction November. And they are focusing on short stories, science fiction short stories, and there's a different theme every week. And so the first week is aliens, the second week is robots and AI, the third week is time traveler, the fourth week is apocalyptic or post-apocalyptic, and the 29th and 30th, you can just read whatever you want. But the idea is to read some science fiction, and specifically science fiction short stories. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is actually not a short story, and it's for my book club at work. We are reading Project Hail Mary this month by Andy Weir. I read The Martian and wanted to read Project Hail Mary since it came out, and I'm finally going to be reading it in November. I actually probably will start that this week and then finish it up next week, but it isn't quite for New World November because it is a full-length novel, but it might be post-apocalyptic or apocalyptic novel. But anyway, that is the first one. But in the spirit of short stories, the first one for Alien, I am selecting The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury, mainly because David Wiley told me I should drop everything else on my TBR and read this, and it seemed to fit the alien prompt. So I am going to try and read The Martian Chronicles for the first week of Aliens as the prompt. For the second, third, and fourth week, I don't think it's quite a cheat, but I'm very excited. I found this little book here, which is 100 Great Science Fiction Short Stories, because yeah, I'm doubling down on the short part, and I already know that there's a story in here called The Man Who Could Turn Back Time, which seems perfect, hopefully, for the time traveler one, and I will be reading a variety out of this book to fulfill the other prompts, but I'm very excited because there are some big names in here, including Isaac Asimov, and then there's also George R.R. Martin is in this as well, so I'm very excited to try some short stories, and that really will fulfill the prompts for New Worlds November. The last book I have is actually for BookTube spin number 4. I ended up drawing Hyperion by Dan Simmons. And so this book was recommended by more than one person. And if I have time, this will be my other science fiction book that I will pick up in the month of November and get one of my BookTube spin 4s off my list. But that is my New Worlds November picks. So yay! For my 1001 book countdown for my 2021 list, I do have one book checked out from the library, which is Elizabeth Costello, which is not super long, so I'm hoping to be able to read that fairly soon. And then the other book that I'm committed to reading is The Blind Assassin by Margaret Atwood. I'll be doing this as a buddy read with my friend Sonia. And I had promised her I would read this with her right when I first started my channel, and so very excited to get to read this with Sonia coming up. But it is, I don't know if I want to read it in this book because it is very big and heavy, and I don't know, but it is beautiful. I love this cover. And then the next book on my list is going to end up being Sabbath Theater by Philip Roth. This is also a library book. I just read American Pastoral by Philip Roth and really liked it. I understand this one is nowhere near the same book, but I really want to get it off the list, so I'm going to try and read this one in November, and it is obviously on the 2021 list. And then the last one, I'm not sure. I have 5 to choose from that are on the 2021 list, and I'm leaving it pretty open to see. The one I have tentatively kind of thought of is Sons and Lovers by D.H. Lawrence. I have read another book by this author and remembered liking it, but I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see on this one. But that would be the 4th book for the 1001 book countdown. So outside of that, the only other buddy read that I have is with Margaret Pinard, and we will be reading Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I've wanted to read this since Shake-Tumber, so I'm very, very excited about getting to read this in November, and especially I get to read it with Margaret, which should be really fun. But that is one of the only other buddy reads I actually have in November. That's why I said this is more of a pile of possibilities for the most part, rather than a commitment to read all of these, which is where the difference came in from October to November. I will continue scaling back even more on buddy reads and group reads, just because it puts a lot of pressure on me and it makes it not as much fun sometimes. I love buddy reads. They are absolutely, absolutely amazing and so much fun to do. But when you have 5 or 6 of them all at the same time, it becomes a bit much. So I'm just going to try and work my schedule out to be a little bit more reasonable. Now, having said that, I know I do have one group read still carrying over into November, which is for Bleak House by Charles Dickens. I'm about halfway through. I've put it down and not picked it up for a few days. So I'm hoping to really spend some good time reading it this week and this weekend, and only have about 100 or so pages left for next week. But Bleak House is one of the group reads that is continuing. The second group read that is continuing is actually Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. We're reading all 3 books in this series, and we're about halfway through. We're reading a part per week. So it is a nice and easy, accessible read without having to read 200 pages a day. We are doing that, and I believe the schedule will also carry into reading Bringing Up the Bodies, which is book 2 for the rest of November, but those are ongoing ones. And then I do belong to the Humorous Book Club, which is run by Mark over at Book Time with Elvis, and that group has selected Scoop by Evelyn Waugh. I don't know anything about this book. I don't know if I'll get to it this month. I did check it out from the library, as you can see, so I have it if I want to try and read it. But again, very flexible as far as whether or not I pick it up, because when you look at all of these books that I could read, it's still quite a bit. So I am going to scale back and pick and choose a little bit, but that gives you, I think that's it. Just those. I don't know. Like I said, I'm very excited about the nonfiction books, the sci-fi books, my 1001 book countdown again, and buddy reads, which I always love. But we'll see which of these actually go from being my reading plans to actually being read in November, and kind of go from there. I am loving still my journey on BookTube, and really appreciate all the support everyone has given me, and love everyone who asks me to do a buddy read or a group read, or I encroach on their reads, which is also, I think that is what happened with Hamnet actually. But thank you so much to everyone who has liked, commented, and subscribed to my channel. Please continue to do so. It means the world to me. And as always, until next time, everyone, thanks. Bye.